Just went to the grocery store.
Got some corn. I don't know if they can see it.
What you doing?
You think they can see my corn with the privacy on?
So somebody's being weird. I bought fresh corn, and apparently nobody has ever heard of fresh corn before.
We've heard of fresh corn. We don't typically buy.
Like, she had to make a phone call to somebody to talk about how
the person who's going to cook the corn to make sure she knows.
Yeah, put it in a freaking pot of water
after shucking the corn.
So again, goes back to my argument I just made. You just bought a bunch of fresh vegetables, onions, peppers, potatoes, those types of things.
Yes.
So you're going to use those to cook with. So you didn't buy frozen versions of that. So what is I don't understand why it's so crazy that I didn't buy frozen corn, where you wanted to get frozen corn instead of fresh corn. So you can get all these fresh vegetables to cook with and eat, except for the corn.
Because it was supposed to be an easy, just, side that we could just do.
It is easy. You just rip the thing open and throw it in the trash, and then either break it in half or just throw it in the pothole.
Now we just have a few extra steps because now
I'm getting gas.
We have to shuck the corn. So
okay,
it's cool. It's cool.
God,
this
generation, I tell you.
This generation. I'm older than you. Well, the people who are preparing the corn, the person preparing the corn is younger than us.
Anyways.
And I knew she would get a kick out of seeing this, so I had to take a picture.
So long story short, we just finished our Christmas grocery shopping.
Yay, that is done and over with.
$400. $401.
We did so good.
What's the total? And she thinks $400 is good.
Yeah, compared to
I disagree with that a bit, but
in this economy, I think
it's crazy though. It's $400.
Good. Well, then it could have been more, but we're not preparing every single item on the menu.
That's correct.
So, and we haven't gotten all of your meats. So you have all your meats for the chicken fried. Okay.
Make chicken fried steak. We're gonna do that country Christmas.
Country Christmas.
Chicken fried steak. One thing I still need to get, there's that Meat Church barbecue supply store out here. I need to go to that because I want to use I'm using their recipe for the chicken fried steak, but I want to use their breading, or their breading mix that they have prepackaged. So that's the only thing I'm not really doing fresh. I want to use their breading package mix. Anyway, that's not the point of what we're supposed to be talking about today. We have to talk about what transpired yesterday evening.
Oh gosh, here we go.
So to set the scene, we get off work super early because, again, it was the last day before the break for Christmas. So the work day ended at 12 o'clock for us. Somebody thought, you know what, now would be the perfect time to go to the busiest mall in the downtown Dallas area and go look at some Christmas crap.
It was fine. It was fine. We spent about
people doing weird things outside right now.
An hour there.
Anyways, so long story short, we get home about 2:30, which is cool. Like 2:30. Because the prelims, we're talking about this Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua fight that transpired yesterday. And I use fight
loosely.
Very loosely. And remind you, I am an avid boxing fan. And I love the sport of boxing, going all the way back to my childhood. But yesterday, there was the big hyped up fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. Cool, perfect. And what I was saying is we got home at 2:30, and it was perfect because the preliminary fights, the prelims, they started at 3:45 our time on YouTube. So that was perfect timing. And the prelims were pretty good. And here's what I'll say. The prelims, they were all the preliminary fights, all the prelims on the card. I think there was 4 prelim fights and 4 main card fights. All 4 of the preliminary fights were professional boxers versus professional boxers. Varying skill level, varying experience, but they were all professional boxers fighting professional boxers. So they were good fights for the most part. And what you can get away in the prelim fights is it's okay if the boxers don't have experience. It's okay if they don't look that good. It's okay if they're still learning how to perfect their craft. It's expected because it's a preliminary fight leading up to something that is bigger, better, and much more anticipated. That being said, the main card fight, 4 fights, there was the first fight, and this was on Netflix, the first fight on the main card was between 2 professional boxers of different skill levels, but it was 2 professional boxers fighting each other, and it was a pretty decent fight. It was worthwhile. To have it on a main card, probably not. That should have been a preliminary fight on a normal boxing card, but it was not. But whatever. It's a Jake Paul event. You know there's going to be some shenanigans. The second fight was between Anderson Silva and Tyron Woodley. Anderson Silva, 50 years old. Tyron Woodley, 43 years old. Neither one of them are professional boxers. They're both retired UFC fighters, retired MMA fighters. Both of their last fights. Are you listening? Are you paying any attention to this?
Both of their last fights.
Guess who both of their last fights were against?
Okay.
Take a wild guess.
I was not paying attention.
It doesn't matter.
So this Anderson Silva.
Take a wild guess at who these 2 fighters' last fight were.
It can't be Jake Paul.
It was Jake Paul.
Why would it have been Jake Paul?
They both lost to Jake Paul. But respectively, one fight was in 2021, the other fight was in 2022. So we have a 50-year-old retired 50-year-old retired MMA fighter going against a 43-year-old MMA fighter who both have not fought since 2021 and 2022. This was not a real fight. This was 2 people filling space on a boxing card. They're not professional boxers.
But neither is Jake Paul, right? Jake Paul is training to be a boxer, right?
I wouldn't even say that anymore. That's
okay.
Besides the point.
Okay.
The fact is, we have moved from the preliminary fights to the main card. The second fight on a 4-fight main card is between 2 people who are not boxers. 2 people who, one is 43, one is 50.
Oh my God. How old is Jake Paul?
He's 20-something, 28.
What?
Anyways, so Anderson Silva knocks out Tyron Woodley. The 50-year-old knocks out the 43-year-old. And it is clear, and Tyron Woodley also got knocked out by Jake Paul, and it is clear that Tyron Woodley should not be in a boxing ring. He was a great fighter for the UFC and MMA, but at a certain point, so many times you get knocked out or you get knocked down, like you lose your chin, as they say. So
what does that mean?
It takes one punch and you've been knocked out. You've suffered so much head trauma that at some point, once age catches up with you, it just takes one single punch and you're going to get knocked out every single time. That is clearly the case with Tyron Woodley, and he should not be in the sport of boxing.
Gotcha.
Especially at 43 years old. To get knocked out by a 50-year-old that hasn't fought since at least 4 years. So that was an absolute sham. I mean, it was a real fight, but it wasn't a boxing fight that should have been anywhere near any main card title fight. So that was the second fight. The third fight was Alicia Baumgardner versus, who knows, some former professional downhill skier, as they brought up multiple times during the fight. So this gets me, I'm gonna start driving because I'm gonna sit here and talk about this.
You're not plugged into this?
No, I'm not plugged into anything.
Okay.
This ain't no electric vehicle. Good old American truck.
Please cut all that.
So, third fight, Alicia Baumgardner versus some downhill skier.
That's funny.
And here's what I'll say. I don't want to ever see another Alicia Baumgardner fight.
What? She did good. 7 through 12. She did excellent.
So I made it. I started watching at 3:45 or 3:30, whenever it started, 3:30. And I made it through the entire fight up until Jake Paul. I fell asleep only during the Alicia Baumgardner fight. And typically that's a good for me. Normally I've passed out asleep before.
Yeah, that's true.
like do we even get to the main card.
You can go to sleep and probably wake up by the
I'll have
time.
to rewatch it over again because I missed it all. But so, and you will attest to this, the first 4 rounds of that fight were extremely boring.
The first, yes.
At least 4 rounds, which is when I fell asleep either at the end of the 3rd or beginning of the 4th round. It picked up afterwards, but I don't want to ever see another Alicia Baumgardner fight again. And here's why. Quite frankly, I'm not sure if I ever want to see a female boxing fight again. And here's the deal why. There's not enough talent to support the fights that are being put on. Alicia Baumgardner is claiming to be like this big name fighter that should be dang near the face of boxing. There's nobody for her to fight. There is no other big name female fighter that she could possibly fight that would make any sort of waves. And everybody, wants to talk about the Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor fights, how they're always like, oh, these are fights of the year. They fought 3 times. Nobody in those 3 fights, neither one of them knocked down the other one time. They keep going to the end to a decision, which is what the Alicia Baumgardner fight did. But here's also a problem with this. Amanda Serrano is another former MMA fighter. I think Alicia Baumgardner, she's not a former MMA fighter, but she tried it out for a minute too. So it's like, and then the girl that she was fighting was a former downhill skier. So it's like all these female boxers are picking up the sport of boxing as something else to do. So they're not the same caliber of fighters as a lot of the male fighters, because a lot of the male fighters, they start boxing from a very, very young age, and that's all they do, and that's what their family does, and that's all they grow up with. A lot of these female fighters, they're picking it up as later in life, and they're picking it up as a sport to do after they've retired from a previous sport. Another big name that always comes up, Holly Holmes. She, again, another retired MMA fighter who made her big career off of knocking out Ronda Rousey in the UFC. First person to beat Ronda Rousey. And then she becomes a professional boxer, and she's decent, but it's like, again, it's your second sport you're getting into. So you're learning this sport at an advanced age, and you're just not going to have the talent. There's so few female boxers that have fought since they were young children and have lived it and been around it their entire lives. There's only one girl that I can really think of, and that's, I forget her first name, but it's Fondora is the last name. And it's she and her older brother. They're both boxers. They're both skinny, tall, lanky fighters, but they've been around it their whole lives. Their family's been in it, and so she's really good. But you don't hardly ever hear anything out of her because she's not essentially the sideshow. But she's a really good fighter. But you don't hear much about her. Anyways, there's just not enough. I don't want to see another Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor fight for the 4th time where they're just swinging wildly at each other. And this girl that Alicia Baumgardner fought, early in the fight, like in the first few rounds, she starts getting cuts under both eyes. Both eyes start swelling up. I'm like, she hasn't even been hit yet. Why is her face looking like this? And it just gets worse and worse throughout the entirety of the fight. I'm just like, this isn't, there's no competition here. Like that was the co-main event. And it's this fighter fighting somebody else, and there's no competition. There's no competitive edge to any of it. It's just someone totally mismatched going against. And Alicia Baumgardner, like I said, she's just more physically capable than a lot of the people that she fights. I couldn't tell you if she's a good boxer or not, because she's just more physically talented than these randos that should be fighting. So I don't want to ever see another Alicia Baumgardner fight again. Like, there's no competition for her. Just like that one girl, the heavyweight.
Layla Ali?
No.
Clarissa Shields?
Layla Ali's retired. Yes, Clarissa Shields. Like, she's really good, but she's, like, again, twice her size of Alicia Baumgardner. So that fight should never, ever happen, realistically. Right. Just like the Jake Paul Anthony Joshua fight should never ever happen. So, leading into the Jake Paul Anthony Joshua fight, quite honestly, I didn't know what to think or what to feel. Because I was like, okay, on paper, this makes no sense. Anthony Joshua 6'6", 240 something pounds. Jake Paul, like 6 feet, 200, and he weighed in at 216 pounds. So a 30-pound difference, a 6-inch height difference, a 7-inch reach difference. It's like, okay, what is really happening here?
I know what I saw.
Well, yes, I know what I saw too. But leading up to it, I was trying to figure out like
what angle, like
yes.
what is this about?
Like, is this really a fight? Is this just going to be completely a fixed fight? So, and I was like, Anthony Joshua, he's a good fighter. He's a championship caliber boxer, heavyweight fighter. I assumed he had aspirations to keep fighting, but because of this fight leading up to it, and the way they promoted it leading up to the fight, they kept on doing, here's an 8-minute video on YouTube, on the MVP YouTube channel, promoting the fight, doing a behind the scenes with both fighters. But the way it was being promoted, it was clear and obvious, the closer it got to the fight, the way they promoted it, that Jake Paul was not taking the fight serious. He kept on playing around, making dumb jokes, acting real stupid, in the face-offs and everything. And then the public training sessions, like he was jumping up and pretending like punch really high up in the air because he was so much shorter and shit like that. It was just ridiculous. And Anthony Joshua was just laughing and smiling throughout the whole process of all this. So it was clear that there was a level of seriousness that it was not there that a normal main title fight would be there, even though it wasn't a title fight, but a main event fight would have. So my hypothesis leading into the fight was that Anthony Joshua was going to retire after this fight. And he's doing this, in my mind, he was already retired, and he was doing this just as a payday, which it was a huge payday. He's making like reportedly like tens of millions of dollars for that fight. Anyway, so that was my hypothesis leading into the fight. And there was also a lot of talk from all of the sports talk analysts that cover boxing and things like this. Is this, as they mentioned on the broadcast, is this making a mockery of the sport, having these two fight each other? This fight should not have even been sanctioned because of the weight difference, and all those types of things. Those were the questions leading into the fight. So when
you say it's sanctioned, that means like it really counts.
Yes.
It's not like we're just doing this.
There's sanctioning bodies in like every single state that to have a professionally sanctioned fight, that sanctioning body in that state has to say, okay, yes, these two people can fight each other. That should never
have, right. So it goes back to the sanctioning body. Shouldn't something be done to them? Why were they able to sanction that? These people are in two different.
Right. It should never. So technically, it should have never ever happened.
Right.
It could have been they could have just called it an exhibition, and it would have been cool.
Right.
Then it didn't matter. But it was not an exhibition, allegedly. It was a sanctioned professional fight. Anyways, here comes the fight. And I will say, again, Jake Paul has unfortunately become the face of boxing. He's kind of taken it to a different level. He's made it more available, the sport more available to people who would have never ever watched boxing before. He's promoted these female fighters out the wazoo, and he's brought that aspect of the sport up quite a bit.
Right.
With that being said, I don't want to ever see a Jake Paul fight again. I knew it was nonsense going into the fight, but there was a level of nonsense during the fight that cannot be forgiven. And it was an absolute mockery of the sport. I said it multiple times during the fight, like everybody involved with that should be banned from the sport of boxing.
Yes.
Everybody in that building should be banned from the sport of boxing. The announcers, the referee, the promoters, the fighters, hell, ban the fans from the sport of boxing.
Sheesh.
It was an absolute travesty. Imagine, so I was kind of thinking of it like, imagine if you went to a professional basketball game. Let's say you want to go watch the Dallas Mavericks, and you're like, hey, the Dallas Mavericks are going to be playing a game this Christmas. But you don't pay any attention to it. You just get free tickets to the game, right? You're like, oh, I'm going to go see the Dallas Mavericks game coming up on Christmas. You'd be like, okay, that's cool. You go there, and they're playing the Harlem Globetrotters. But they are selling it as this is a real basketball game. Like, well, no, it's not. This is an act. This is the Harlem Globetrotters. It's theater. It's sports theater. And that's what was happening last night during this theatrical boxing match. It was Jake Paul dancing around the ring, and it was Anthony Joshua just kind of standing there, round by round, letting one round go by after another. Nobody throwing punches until I think it was the 6th round that it ended. It was either the 6th or the 7th round. I think it was the 6th round. And it was like, okay, we've gotten our money's worth. Right. We've gone 6 of the 8 rounds. Now he just throws one punch and knocks him down and knocks him out, pretty much. But throughout the course of the fight, it was Jake Paul wrestling. He would just jump and lunge at Anthony Joshua, grab him around his legs and fall down. And
I feel like he was doing all he could to just stay standing.
Yes, he has no stamina. That has been a stay. That has been a focus. That has been obvious through all of his fights. He has zero stamina in every single one of his fights he's fought. He is drenched, pouring sweat by the end of the first round in every one of his fights, and he's breathing heavy. His hands are down. He's barely moving around in all of his fights, which was the case here, except it was even worse, as now he was wrestling, pulling down Anthony Joshua to the canvas throughout the fight. And the cherry on top of it all is when, in the 4th round, I think it was? Yes, I think all this went down in the 4th round, either the 4th or 5th round. Jake Paul grabs Anthony Joshua, wrestles him to the ground. No singular punch was thrown in this process. The referee steps in. Jake Paul stands up, pretends that he took a low blow, and the ref pauses the fight to allow Jake Paul to get his 5 minutes of rest for a low blow, even though not a single punch was thrown. And then, during that process, Jake Paul's business partner and co-owner of MVP Promotion is standing up, yelling at the referee, talking about how this is unfair that Jake Paul is getting low blows and stuff like this, even though not a single punch was thrown. And the ref tells the business partner to sit down. I got this. Yeah. The most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. No, it is not. I'll tell you about the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. This is the second most ridiculous boxing match I've ever seen in my life. But because of it, I don't want to ever watch a Jake Paul fight ever again. It's fine that
it's not fine.
If it was going to be theater, fine. Promote it as an exhibition.
There you go.
Promote it as hey, we're not really doing this for real. But to promote it as a real professional fight, but then to go in there, and it was clear and obvious that both fighters knew that this was going to be a dance. That this was clearly choreographed theater. And that's what's wrong. When you have a heavyweight championship caliber fighter going into a fight and pretending to box,
that's a slap in the face to all the fans.
Yes, that is lifetime bans in football, baseball, basketball. People are getting in big trouble right now because they're doing this via betting, of course. They're purposely messing up during a game to help get a bet made for some people or whatever, and they're getting lifetime bans from the sport. Like I said, Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua should be banned from the sport of boxing. His promotion company should be banned from the sport of boxing. I don't know what to say about the ref. Whatever. They should be banned from the sport of boxing. That was, I don't want to ever see a Jake Paul fight again. I don't want to ever hear about a Jake Paul fight again. I don't want to ever see an Anthony Joshua fight again. Now that I know what you're capable of and willing to do in a boxing ring, where you don't really give a fuck about your sport, I don't want to ever see Anthony Joshua fight again. It's at least understandable for Jake Paul to do it, being that he's a joke of a person and is not a real deal professional fighter. But for someone of Anthony Joshua's caliber to do it is unforgivable. And the announcer, God bless the singular announcer that was kind of calling them on their shit throughout the process of the fight. God, I forget his name. Moral already. I can't remember his name, but he's a big time famous boxing announcer, and he was like, "This is ridiculous. What are we?" He kind of lost his mind a couple times in the fight too. It was like, because I think he made it sound, the way he was calling it and announcing it, he made it seem like this might be a real thing, and then he was acting absolutely shocked by seeing what he was seeing in the ring, because it was absolute nonsense. So yeah, and there's a whole nother angle about boxing in general that could go that is just really making me not enjoy the sport anymore. It's just an absolute travesty to the sport, and everybody involved should be banned and ashamed. But real quick, the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in a boxing match, and I saw this live. You see it on YouTube all the time, and you hear people talk about it all the time now, but I saw it live. Well, not live, but I was watching the fight happen when it was actually on TV. This guy, God, he was going to fight this dude, and it was so dumb. They did the ring walks to the ring. The first guy gets in there. He's waiting for the second guy to come to the ring. The second guy walks to the ring. They do the whole little let's fight, keep it clean thing with the ref. The bell rings to start round one, and the first guy that walked into the ring, as soon as the bell rings, he leaves. He just goes through the ropes, ducks underneath the ropes, and walks out the arena. And that was the wildest shit I'd ever seen in a boxing match. But again, what I saw last night was not a boxing match, and I can't get over it. Everybody involved with that should be banned from the sport of boxing. The sanctioning body, the fighters, the promoters, Netflix. I don't know what to tell you.
Netflix should be banned.
Yes, to put that on. That's the only thing positive about what happened last night. That it did not cost anything extra. The prelims were on YouTube for free, and the main card was on Netflix at no additional cost. So it didn't cost me anything extra to sit there and watch it. It just destroyed my faith and hope in the sport, though. With the other aspect of it being the involvement of outside forces in real professional boxing now. That's kind of making it a mockery as well. But you know what? I wasted my time watching one mockery of the sport. Why not do it again tonight? Because guess who's fighting tonight?
Who's fighting tonight? Who's fighting? Andrew
Tate.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
He is fighting. That's a clean ass truck. He is fighting
what the heck?
Another quasi-professional boxer. Now, here's what I'll say about this, though. At least everybody involved, the fans, the fighters, the promoters, everybody, it is clear and obvious just by the name of the promotion company. It is called Misfits Boxing. So there is no illusion that this is
makes sense.
This is weird random people fighting. So there's this quasi champion, only champion for that boxing promotion, Misfits Boxing. He's not a championship boxer in any form or fashion, and he's going to fight Andrew Tate. So I might just have to watch that. Just at least going into it, it's going to be nonsense. So, and it's self-contained in this Misfits Boxing world, and it has no bearing or impact on what I thought used to be real boxing, but who knows nowadays. So yeah, that really, I can't get over. I cannot stress enough. Everybody involved with that should be banned from the sport of boxing. Anyways, it's the weekend. Peace.
Peace.